January 16th, 1920. At midnight, the United States officially went dry. Not low alcohol, not drink responsibly, dry. On this day, Prohibition went into full effect, banning the manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcoholic beverages nationwide. And with that single decision, America launched one of the boldest and most chaotic social experiments in its history. Prohibition didn't come out of nowhere. For decades, temperance movements have been building steam. Churches, reformers, and women's groups argued that alcohol was the root of poverty, crime, domestic violence, and moral decay. Alcohol wasn't just a drink. It was blamed for everything wrong with society. Groups like the Women's Christian Temperance Union and the Anti-Saloon League pushed hard, framing alcohol as the enemy of the American family. Then, World War I gave the movement a major boost. Grain was needed for food, not beer. Breweries were painted as unpatriotic. Many were German-owned, which didn't help their image during wartime. By 1919, momentum was unstoppable. The 18th Amendment was ratified, and Congress passed the Volstead Act to define what intoxicating liquor actually meant. Spoiler alert, it meant almost everything people liked to drink. When the clock struck midnight on January 16, 1920, breweries shut down. Distilleries went silent. Bars legally ceased to exist. America, a nation built on freedom and rebellion, was suddenly told, no more drinking. The reaction? Americans immediately started drinking anyway. If alcohol couldn't be sold legally, it would be sold secretly. Speakeasies popped up everywhere: basements, apartments, back rooms, behind unmarked doors. You didn't ask for a drink, you spoke easy. New York City alone may have had over 30,000 speakeasies during Prohibition, more than the number of bars it had before alcohol was banned. Jazz clubs thrived. Cocktails evolved, not for taste, but to mask the flavor of harsh, poorly made liquor. Breaking the law became fashionable. On paper, Prohibition was enforced by federal agents. In reality, there weren't nearly enough of them. Agents were underpaid, understaffed, and often willing to look the other way for the right price. Enforcement depended entirely on where you lived. Some rural towns took Prohibition seriously. Major cities absolutely did not. And when legal businesses disappeared, criminal ones stepped in. Alcohol became incredibly profitable. Bootlegging, the illegal production and transportation of liquor, turned into a massive underground industry. Organized crime exploded. Gangsters built empires on bootleg booze. Cities became battlegrounds as criminal groups fought over territory. Violence increased. Machine guns became a regular headline. Ironically, Prohibition, meant to reduce crime, ended up professionalizing it. And not all bootleg alcohol was safe. With legal distilleries shut down, people turned to homemade and industrial alcohol. Some of it was toxic. Some of it was deadly. To discourage drinking, the federal government ordered industrial alcohol to be chemically poisoned. Bootleggers tried to redistill it. They didn't always succeed. Thousands of Americans died from alcohol poisoning during Prohibition, not because they drank too much, but because what they drank wasn't safe. By the late 1920s, public opinion had turned. Crime was up. Prisons were overcrowded. Courts were flooded with alcohol-related cases. Meanwhile, the government was losing millions in tax revenue from legal alcohol sales. Then came the Great Depression. As unemployment soared, restoring alcohol, along with jobs and tax income, suddenly made a lot of sense. In 1933, the 21st Amendment was ratified. It repealed the 18th Amendment, making Prohibition the first and only constitutional amendment ever undone. Bars reopened. Breweries fired back up. Legal drinking returned, though regulations remained. America had officially admitted defeat. Prohibition didn't fail because people love alcohol. It failed because enforcing morality through law rarely works. What it left behind was modern organized crime, expanded federal policing, cocktail culture, and a lasting lesson in unintended consequences. January 16, 1920 was the day America tried to legislate sobriety. What it got instead was jazz, gangsters, speakeasies, and a masterclass in how not to run a social experiment. History doesn't always repeat itself, but sometimes it pours itself another drink. If you like this sip through time, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an episode of Yesterday Now. Cheers.